my sisters, higher we shall go. Moving forward, never backward, by the help of God Almighty.
I was born in Tilden Fulani, which is a village 14 miles away. Actually, I was born in Shere, at the bottom of the hills of Shere. So, and then they moved to Tilden Fulani, which is on the main road. That's where I grew up. I was born as Mariamu Adija Madaki in the Afiziri tribe. We were called Jarawa by that time, Jarawan Dutse. And my dad was to have been a farmer, but he preferred to do marketing, local marketing. My mom did the farming, and he always provided for the family from his marketing business. He came from a Muslim background. He was a Muslim for several years, and then heard the gospel, became a Christian, and then married my mom. I was the first child, and after me there were 2 boys, one after another. And so they looked after us, and my dad was very, very keen on education because he trained himself. He could read and write. He wrote down our birthdays as if he knew, because he died when I was just 10 years old. He died in his 30s and left my mom and begged her not to remarry. Please educate these children. Education is very important. There was not even a primary school in the village. And so my mom took that as a challenge. Now, my dad died from a sickness that could have been cured. I know that for sure. Everybody knows. And we were only 14 miles away from Jos, which had the closest hospital to us. All we had in the village was a dispensary. So he was just being treated with whatever native preparations there were. I wasn't home. I had to go far away to Fobor, the primary school, together with other children in the village, cousins of mine, friends. We would trek over the miles, between 18 to 20 miles, carrying our little grain and things to go to stay in school for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then our parents would bring us some more food, that kind of thing. Primary school, far away from home. How old were we? 7, 8, 9. So it was on such a holiday I came and met my dad ill, and I went back only to come back next time and I was shown his grave. Papa had died. And that was enough to truncate my education. Primary school. I was to go to senior primary school, which is class 6, 7, 5, 6, 7. Because class 7 was the last one. And that school was to be in Forum, which is Birom, the town. These are all church schools. Sudan United Mission, SUM. There was nobody to take me there, so I was to be at home. Then SIM, they had a station in Rinjingani, which is on the way between Tilden Fulani and Bauchi. They had a station there, so my mom approached the missionaries there. They said, oh yes, there is a senior primary school we can take Mary to, but you have to pay 7 shillings every week for her feeding and upkeep. We'll take her to Bununudas. Long story short, they took me there for 3 years. I was in Bununudas, and I was doing very well. I stayed with the pastor's family, with his own daughters and 2 other girls from the same area with me. We went to school there. So there were girls along. I wasn't the only one. And how come that I was the one who passed, went to Girls High School, Gendry, to do my secondary education? God did his own work. There I was again. School fees my mom couldn't pay. There was no scholarship, but somehow, somewhere, somebody paid my school fees for 5 years. I was going to this school in Gendry. And that school, I was in the second set, and they didn't have laboratories. so we were doing those general science. All the teachers were whites from England, missionary white ladies from England, and they taught us, and they weren't teaching general science and maths. She was very fond of me because she found that I was very good in maths, I was good in science. And Mary, what do you want to read? I said, I would like to read medicine. I want to be a doctor. Yeah, but we don't have a lab. There's no physics, no chemistry here. How do we do? So this woman took it upon herself to go to the boys' school, get their timetable, and say, I want Mary to come and join your class. She wants to read medicine. And so this woman sacrificed her time. She had to balance her timetable with that of these people. So because of that, I had to miss biology. They couldn't put it. So I did physics and chemistry, no biology. Then I was to go to Queen's College, Lagos. I passed that exam again out of a class of, we were how many in our class? Less than 30. I think we were 28 or so. I was the only one doing science. But this lady, Miss Gentle, she was also in English, but she wasn't a missionary, of course. She was a civil servant, colonial days. And this was 1963. So she came, I said, this girl is coming to you. She wants to read medicine, but she doesn't have biology. As they said, okay, we can take her. Let her collect biology books and read over the holidays. And when she comes in January, she'll join the zoo class, zoology, maths, and zoology, physics, and chemistry. And she will go to medical school. Can you hear such a thing? And that's what I did. I got all my 3 papers without an O-level in biology. And College of Medicine, Lagos was where I landed to study medicine. All this while I didn't know I was going to be first in anything. All I knew, I was just following my heart, thank God. My mom was a gem. There is no doubt about that. She was a smallish woman. As I said, she didn't go to school. She was one of 6 adult children that I knew. 2 men were junior to her, and then 2 women and 1 other man were senior to her. Their mother died when she was young, so she was quickly given into marriage, also as a teenager. So she started married life early, married somewhere else in polygamy. Then when she became a Christian, she was taken out of that marriage. And then when my dad also believed and needed a wife, he approached her and they got married. And because she was not educated, but I know that she was a brilliant person, the brain was there. Because she now said she was going to, as a Christian, they were taught to read the Hausa Bible. So she knew how to read. And then when I started going to school, she said, how can her daughter write to her from school and then she'll go and be looking for someone to come and read? She won't have any secret with her, so she bought pencil and paper, started learning how to write, so that when I write, she will be able to read it. So she learned to read and write, and I used to write letters to her. Then when it came to school fees, as I told you, I didn't see scholarship at the university, and she was struggling with that. Even transport money and all that kind of thing was difficult for her. She had two of those, her brothers, were rich. Rich was that they were comfortable, they had farms that could produce things, they raised animals and so on, and they were comfortable. One of them had only 2 children, the other one had many. The one who had only 2 children lived close to Mama, was closest to her. But he wouldn't help her. When I was to go further to school, he said, I think he's the one who said, if she goes and becomes pregnant, who will pay me my money? The others were like, one man will just marry her and then we will lose her from the family. So why waste money? You have 2 boys coming up, save your energy to educate the boys. So she said, but this girl is passing her exams and crying that she wants to go to school. What can I do? So that's how they left her with her tears to find money to educate me. The 2 things that touched my heart early was, one, that my dad died of an illness that should not have killed him because of lack of medical care. What can I do about it? The other one was that people who didn't know me from Adam, didn't know my mom, reached out and helped me. I think they were just looking for someone who had the talent and who could shine, and let's broaden her path for her. And they went out, and that is what had been burning in my heart until I landed myself with this scholarship foundation, which is so satisfying for me now. When I got my A-levels, there were only 2 medical schools I could go to, and that was University College Hospital Ibadan, UCH, and then College of Medicine, University of Lagos, the second one. Ife wasn't there, ABU wasn't there. I mean, medical schools were not there yet. The universities were there, but not the medical schools. So I applied to both, and I was a kind of celebrity. The universities all wanted, we have never had a lady from the north studying medicine. So they both admitted me, everybody wanted. But because I lived in Lagos, I had to go to Queen's College. I stayed with a guardian in Ikoyi, so I knew bus routes and things. I said, there's no need going to Ibadan to go and start learning my way around. Let me stay in Lagos. And Lagos was a brand new medical school. They had 4 years. Ours was the 5th set coming in. So it was still new, everything was, all the professors were all excited. They are building a very good and modern medical school, so we're all excited. I went there. I chose that instead, and everything went well. I didn't have any carryover, as they call it nowadays. I didn't have to repeat any exam. I didn't get awards or anything like that, but I passed my exams. And of course, jobs were always waiting for graduates at that time. Even if it's not medicine, whatever you read, jobs were waiting for you in government, in private, anywhere. So in Benue Plateau State, I came in to be the first house officer in the General Hospital in Jos. I did my house job there. By that time, I had met my husband and had gotten married. And so I just kind of came home, had my first baby, had my house job, and continued to work as a medical doctor. Because we were so few, the need for medical doctors in administration was great. So we became administrative medical consultants, as well as in our clinical work. And before you know it, you have to spend so much time in the administration that in the end, the younger ones have to take over from other universities. When they qualify, you train them and they take over, and you continue until you retire. So while I was doing all that, we're training our own children. Our parents are now elderly and we're looking after them. Relatives, children need help. You find that your salary was becoming more meager than even though you are promoted, the salary didn't go far. And my passion to help people was limited. I was helping only close relatives. I couldn't venture out to look for anybody to assist because the money was not there. But God's so kind that when I reach a stage when my own children have graduated and they are looking for jobs to settle themselves, I now found that, and my husband came from the similar background with me, village background, no helper, need to help. So together we had this passion. We want to help other people who don't know us, who don't know about us, who don't have to beg us, but whose talents are buried because no one is helping. And we visualized that there are children down there who have not gone to school, who have talents, and there's no way you can find their talent unless they went to school and got tested and got stimulated. So we decided not to raise scholarships for university students, but for primary and secondary school students, so that as the talents are discovered, they can come up, and those who are just waiting to put people in university and take them to whatever level they want to take them can harvest them. And it is very, very interesting. We found that that is so valuable, because especially when these insurgencies came in, there are many more displaced children, both orphans and some of them not even orphans, who are just despondent. There's just no help coming. And surprisingly, when you send them to school, all of a sudden some bright one just pops out with a background that they hardly have enough food to eat. Relatives are just coping. For example, we have some children that we're helping in a village, the outskirts of Jos. The relatives have 5 children of their own. This family has children. Then they took on these other 2 children of their relatives who were killed by attackers. These unknown gunmen or whatever raid the village. So they have these children. They're struggling to feed extra mouths, struggling to pay school fees of their children. They don't have money to pay school fees of these extra children that came. So we took them. We were happy that they have a home where they can eat and sleep, and where somebody can guide them. Don't do this, don't do that. And then we paid their school fees, bought their books. In some cases, we even buy the uniforms, And they do so well. They do so well. And when we were doing that, we came across another group that are called social orphans. And I heard that. How did we get? We got 2 boys. The lady who owns a school where we sponsor these children approached us and said there are 2 boys, 10-year-old boys, twins, who are not, they can't read and write, but they are going to school. They are attending school. The school, the teachers, no salaries coming on time. Nobody is teaching. They can't read and write. They can hardly write their names. Can you sponsor them? Say, what can you do with them? She said, we can give them extra lessons during the long holiday. Then in September, we can put them in class, this and that. So, you're sure you can do that? I said, yes. So we started sponsoring them, even up to a meal. What happened was their mom was psychologically unstable. She had them. She doesn't know who the father is. Her siblings helped her to nurture the boys, breastfeeding them till she would go and sweep for people, draw water for people, and buy small food and cook for them. They were malnourished and all that, so we had to give them meals and so on. They would always go back to her, sleep in her place, come back to school. These children progressed so well. Do you know they are now in secondary SS1? These 2 boys, we moved them to an orphanage later, and the orphanage took them in. They take them in for 1 year, then they go back to the mother for holiday. As a woman, if you don't choose the road you are going to walk on, you will falter along the way. You will either be too uncooperative, or you will be too submissive and lose out on the talent that is in you. I must confess that as I grew up, I knew that I wanted to be a Christian wife. I wanted to be a wife I wanted to be the only wife to one man. I didn't envisage a polygamous situation. It wasn't part of my dream. And so I chose carefully. Let me say, I prayed carefully that God should choose for me and give me a home of my own, that I don't have to compete with another woman. Secondly, I wanted to give my best. I always told myself that the man would be the head of the family, that I'm just a helper. But that I will pray and beg him that he regards me as his equal. Not to compete with him, but that he can take my advice if he wants. And that we will work together to glorify God. Our idea is not to shine. as a man, you have already shown, you've taken the name. The children will take your name. They will never take my name. You are already in control. So what do you want to fight about? Nothing to fight about again. So let us together go on to make sure that home is stable, that it glorifies God, that it portrays Christ, and that we raise children who will also grow up to raise homes that are equally helpful. So whenever our professions clashed, like when he got elevated to the federal service and I was still in state service, there were two options. Either he would go to federal and I would stay in one place with the children, and he could just be coming on holidays, or we be going on holidays, whatever, or we pack up and go. He was very decisive. He said he never wanted his family split. He will always move with his family, and therefore I should just take early retirement and let's go. And that was final. So that's what I did. Some of my colleagues, especially in the South, I had a Southern colleague who was in the same specialty with me and who was also a chief executive secretary of the Health Management Board of her state in Delta State, and I was in Benue State. And when I hinted them that I was retiring, this and that, they looked at me, it's like, what's wrong with your head? Are you okay? And it hurts a bit in my heart. But I knew that, well, I have to take a decision and have to stay by my principles if that's what I decided. So that's what I did. I took early retirement and tried not to regret, and try to make the most of it. And God helped me. It was okay. If you are going to be prudent, you need to follow your heart. What is your passion? What do you like? What is it in life that has impacted you? What is it that people have done to you and you have enjoyed it, you have benefited? Or you look at somebody else's life and how their life has gone. What mistakes did they make that you want to avoid making? What good decisions did they take that you admire and you want to follow suit? Also, what do people say you do well when people look at you and they say, oh, you did this one very well. How did you go about it? You take that as a plus and work on it and go further. And remember that you cannot do it alone ever. We are all made, the Creator made us all to be able to rub off on each other. And we need to learn from others, we need to benefit from others. And there's no need carrying yourself so high thinking you got it all and people will have to learn from you. You can't learn from them. You won't go anywhere. You have to be humble and learn from others and benefit from other people. And thirdly, you have to, it's very additional if you are a woman of faith. If you are a woman of faith, you have to know your Creator, you have to trust Him, and you have to be able to pray to Him. Otherwise, you find that your energy will not last long, your imagination will be limited, will fade away. But when you are trusting in God, when you have faith, you will reach places that you thought were limiting you, you will bypass them. Prudent women have to be very, very careful about their children. They have to be conscious of the fact that the children are a loan to us. They are a loan to us to nurture up to a point, and after that point, we'll hand them over back themselves to God to lead them in adult life. The prudent woman cannot pretend not to know what is going on with her child. There are a few out there who publicly, like Joyce Meyer, say how her mother pretended not to know what was going on with her, or knew and said, there's nothing I can do about it. No, there will always be something you can do. When your child underage is being molested, being neglected, or even maybe being misdirected, encouraged to be hyper and to feel she is everything. But as a prudent mother, you have to try and balance things up with your children before it's too late.
We are one big, oh, we are one. We are one big happy